Let me talk to the one whose heart feels heavy tonight. You gave your all, you showed up with your whole soul, you loved them when they didn't even love themselves, and now you're left staring at a screen, waiting for a message that never comes. Don't block them. Don't beg. Just breathe. Because tonight I need you to stop chasing someone who doesn't see your worth. I need you to remember, your power never left you. It's just been buried under the weight of trying to prove your value to someone who was blind to your beauty. You're not weak because you miss him. You're not a fool for caring deeply. You're human. But now it's time to shift. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of revelation. You're not here to fight for a place in someone else's life. You're here to own your life. So don't block. Don't beg. Don't post subliminals hoping he notices. Just do this. Start becoming everything you once prayed he'd become. Step into your own greatness. Heal loudly. Love yourself harder. And I promise you this. The moment you stop looking back is the moment the universe opens doors you never imagined. This is your wake-up call. You've been trying to understand him, haven't you? Sitting in silence, replaying every word, every moment, wondering what you missed, what you could have done differently, what you did wrong. But what if I told you the moment you stop trying to make sense of him and start trying to rediscover you, everything begins to change. You see, we get so wrapped up in trying to make someone else see our value, we forget to recognize it ourselves. It's not your job to decode his silence. It's your job to listen to your own voice. The one you've been ignoring. The one that used to dream. The one that used to laugh without fear. You've handed over so much of yourself thinking love was about sacrifice. Thinking pain was proof of passion. But love shouldn't cost you your peace. It shouldn't have you doubting your reflection, your worth, or your purpose. The moment you realize that he was never the prize, you were. The healing begins. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear on who you are. Clear on what you deserve. And most of all, clear on the truth. That you never needed someone to complete you. You needed someone to recognize you. Every time you checked your phone waiting on his name to pop up. Every time you adjusted your tone just to avoid conflict. Every time you watered yourself down to be digestible, you gave pieces of yourself away. But listen to me. When you constantly shrink to fit inside someone else's world, you eventually forget how expansive your own soul is. And now it's time to expand again. You don't need to wait for closure. You don't need his validation. He's not the one who decides if you're worthy of love. That was never his role. You've been trying to fix a broken mirror to get a clearer reflection, but all that's done is cut your hands. It's time to stop bleeding for someone who didn't even bring a bandage. The love you gave him. Freely, fiercely, faithfully. That love still lives inside you. Redirect it. Pour it into your goals, your health, your future. Wake up and choose you. Not the version that cries behind closed doors. Not the one that begs silently to be seen. Choose the version of you that remembers your power. That remembers the days before he entered the picture. That remembers you had joy before him, and you will have joy after him. See, people will treat you however you allow them to. That's a hard truth, but it's a freeing one too. Because if you let someone walk through your boundaries once, they'll dance all over them twice. And what you thought was love might have just been you fighting to stay relevant in someone else's narrative. But let me tell you this. The second you shift the spotlight back to your own story, you realize something powerful. You are not a supporting character in your own life. You are the main event. The moment you stop asking, why did he do this, and start asking, why did I ignore the signs, is the moment you reclaim your power. Because you saw it. Maybe not all at once, maybe not clearly, but your spirit whispered. And now your spirit is roaring. It's saying, no more. No more crying for someone who slept peacefully while you questioned your worth. No more fighting to be chosen when you were already enough. You were always enough. He didn't see it. That's his blindness, not your burden. And trust me, when you finally choose to see yourself, you won't need him to. You've been living in reaction mode for too long. Reacting to text, reacting to silence, reacting to moods that had nothing to do with you. That's not love, that's emotional survival. And you deserve better than survival. You deserve to thrive. When you focus on him, you keep waiting for a moment that might never come. But when you shift the focus to you, you create your own moments. You get up in the morning and say, today, I rise for me. You set goals. You start that project. You sign up for the course. You invest in your body, your mind, your faith. And suddenly life doesn't feel like something that's happening to you. It becomes something you're building with your own hands. He may have walked out, but you are the one who gets to walk forward. That's a powerful position. And the funny thing, the moment you stop chasing his attention is the moment you start commanding everyone's respect. You don't need to convince anyone to stay. Your presence should speak so loudly that your absence hurts. But not for revenge, for reflection. Let them sit with what they lost while you become everything they couldn't be for you. Stop watching his story. Stop looking at who he's following. That's not closure. That's torture. And deep down, you know it. You know every time you do that, a little part of you gets smaller. And that's not fair to you. Because while you're out here wondering if he's moved on, you're still standing still. But life doesn't wait. Your healing doesn't wait. This is the season where you must train your mind to stop seeking external answers for an internal wound. The wound is yours to heal, not his to apologize for. And healing doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes healing just says move anyway. Move while confused. Move while hurting. Move while you're still tempted to text him. Because every step you take away from that confusion is a step toward peace. And every time you choose not to reach out, you choose to reach within. That's where the gold is. That's where the strength is. Inside you. Not in his reply. Not in a temporary fix. In you. You are the author now. Pick up the pen. And don't you dare write his name in every chapter. Do you ever notice how the moment you start focusing on you, distractions come crawling back? It's not a coincidence. It's a test. It's the universe asking, did you learn or are you just lonely? Because growth doesn't always feel good. It often feels like silence, like isolation, like nights where you question if you made the right decision. But let me tell you something. You did. The moment you decided to pour all that love back into yourself was the moment your life began again. You're not being mean. You're not being cold. You're being intentional. That's what healing is. And the old you, the one who needed his validation to feel seen, she's gone. You're becoming someone new, someone wiser, someone whose peace is protected like a fortress. And the truth is, when he finally looks up and realizes what he lost, it won't be because you yelled. It'll be because your silence screamed growth, because your light got too bright to ignore. And you won't even need to turn around, not out of spite, but because forward is where your destiny lives. And when the day comes, and it will, when you no longer flinch at his name, when his updates don't stir your stomach, when his memory becomes nothing more than a quiet lesson, that's when you'll know you did it. Not because he came back, but because you came back to you. That's the goal. That's the moment this shift becomes your strength. See, this was never about him. It was about remembering the power that's been in you all along. You just forgot for a moment. That's okay, we all do. But now you rise different. You walk different. You don't beg. You don't block. You don't chase. You simply build. And what you build will be so solid, so unshakable, that no man, no loss, no silence will ever have the power to break you again. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong person. Now go become everything you needed from him times 10, because you are the one you've been waiting for. There's a moment when you stop explaining, stop defending, stop trying to prove your heart, and you go quiet. That moment isn't weakness. That moment is power. Because silence, when it's chosen, not forced, speaks louder than any argument, louder than any screaming match. Silence says, I don't owe you my peace anymore. You're not retreating, you're resetting. You're not punishing them, you're protecting you. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't clapping back. It's standing still. Refusing to participate in confusion. Refusing to entertain disrespect. You've poured out your heart enough. You've bent until your spine forgot what strength felt like. Now you go still. you go silent. And in that silence, you find everything. You find your worth, you find your power. You find the space between reaction and response. And that's where growth lives. That's where healing starts. People who thrive on your reactions hate when you stop giving them fuel. So let them wonder, let them scroll, let them question. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not quiet because you've lost. You're quiet because you're done performing. Your silence is not absence. It's presence. It's you returning to yourself, taking back every ounce of energy you gave away for free. Silence is the language of strength, not surrender. It's the voice of someone who has finally realized they don't have to participate in the drama to prove their value. You can say more in your stillness than 1,000 words ever could. Because silence shows maturity. It shows control. It shows a refusal to dance with chaos. When you're silent, you're not weak. You're dangerous in the best way. Because now they don't know what you're thinking. Now they don't know how to manipulate you. Now they can't guilt you or spin the story or push your buttons. Because you've taken the batteries out of the remote. That's power. That's presence. And you know what happens when you stop talking? You start listening. You hear your thoughts again. You hear your spirit. You hear God. And that's the voice that was drowned out when you were busy defending yourself to someone who already made up their mind. So let them sit in the space you once filled. Let them feel your absence. Not out of vengeance, but out of necessity. You've outgrown the noise. You've outgrown the need to be heard by someone who never really listened. The ones who really see, you don't need paragraphs to understand your silence. They can feel it. But the ones who are always there to take, to twist, to minimize your heart, those are the ones who'll be disturbed when you stop speaking. Because your silence exposes their behavior louder than your words ever did. You ever notice how some people only understand your value when you stop giving? That's because your voice gave them access. Your words gave them permission. But now the access is gone, the permission revoked. And suddenly your silence makes them uncomfortable. That's not your burden. That's the echo of boundaries they never respected. So let them feel that. Let them sit with the version of you that no longer begs, no longer explains, no longer tries to mend what they kept breaking. Your silence is the alarm clock to their carelessness. And the beauty of it? You didn't have to yell. You didn't have to curse. You just had to stop showing up for your own disrespect. That's what silence does. It draws the line and it says, this far, no further. You're not ignoring anyone. You're prioritizing your peace. You're not being dramatic, you're being deliberate. You spend enough time talking to closed ears, enough time explaining your soul to someone who only responded with silence of their own. But their silence was punishment. Yours is power. The difference is in the intention. When you went quiet, it wasn't to hurt, it was to heal. It wasn't to manipulate, it was to meditate. You finally understood that energy is expensive. And you're done bankrupting yourself for conversations that leave you drained. So you speak less now. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've said it all before and nothing changed. And you're not in the business of repeating pain. You're in the business of protecting your light. Let them misinterpret it. Let them create their own story. That's not your problem anymore. Because silence also means detachment. It means elevation. It means you've realized some people only hear you when it's convenient for them, not when it's critical for you. And that's the moment you stop talking. That's the moment you rise. There's a shift that happens when you realize silence doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. You begin to discern who deserves your explanation, who earns your presence, and who no longer qualifies for either. You've reached a point where your peace matters more than being understood. And that's a grown place. That's a free place. Because trying to force someone to see your side is a cage. It locks you in, hoping they'll unlock clarity. But when you go silent, you throw away the key and walk out the front door. Not out of spite, but out of awareness. Because peace and chaos can't coexist. And no matter how much you love someone, if they consistently bring noise, your silence is your lifeline. You stop trying to win them over. You stop trying to make it make sense. You let your spirit speak without sound. And that kind of silence, it's unshakable. It's the moment you decide, I don't need this energy anymore. I choose me. You still love deeply. You still feel everything. But now you express it through stillness, through space, through sovereignty. You don't need an audience. You need alignment. You want to know when they really notice you? Not when you text back. Not when you argue. But when you vanish. When you no longer respond the way you used to. When your silence becomes so loud it makes them sit with their own behavior. That's the moment they realize they lost something solid. And while you're not doing it for revenge, let's be honest. There's something beautifully poetic about letting your absence speak your truth. No explanation, no announcement, just distance. Because sometimes silence is the closure you never got. And the people who truly cared wouldn't have pushed you to the edge of silence to begin with. That's the truth you face in the stillness. You learn that people who love you don't require performance. They don't drain you. They don't make you beg for the bare minimum. So your silence isn't just withdrawal, it's graduation. You leveled up. You finally realized you don't owe anyone access to the healed version of you who they helped break. That chapter is done. And this new one is being written in quiet strength. There's a kind of silence that's not empty. It's full of lessons, full of growth, full of self-love you fought like hell to rediscover. That silence is where your power lives now. Not in shouting your pain, not in posting vague quotes, not in hoping they'll get it someday, but in standing firm in your quiet knowing that you are no longer available for anything that costs your peace. You've reclaimed your voice by choosing when not to use it. You've reclaimed your worth by walking away without a mic drop. Because sometimes the strongest statement you'll ever make is walking away with nothing left to prove. You don't need the last word. You are the last word. And when they finally realize what your silence meant, it'll hit different. Because it wasn't petty. It wasn't passive. It was power. Pure, unshakable, divine power. And now you get to sit in that power. Not because you won, not because they lost, but because you chose yourself in a world that kept asking you to choose noise. And that choice, that's everything. There comes a moment in life when you stop asking for permission to be happy and start claiming what was always meant for you. You've waited long enough. You've tolerated just enough. You've dimmed your light, delayed your dreams, made yourself smaller so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable with your shine. But you weren't born to be background noise. You weren't created to beg for peace, to chase love, to wait for someone else to see your worth before you believed it yourself. You were made to build, to rise, to step into the version of you that doesn't settle for almost. Because the life you dream about, the one that keeps you awake at night, the one that pulls at your soul, it's real, it's possible, but it won't be handed to you. You have to choose it every single day. That means silencing every voice that told you you're not enough. That means planting your feet in the ground and declaring, I deserve more. I was made for more. I'm not waiting to be chosen. I'm becoming who I was created to be. This is where everything changes, not when they apologize, but when you start building. Building the life you deserve isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. You don't need every piece figured out. You don't need to know exactly how it all plays out. What you need is faith. Faith that every step forward, even the shaky ones, is progress. Faith that you are not too late, not too broken, not too behind. Because the truth is, no one is coming to save you. And that's not a curse, it's a gift. Because when you realize it's on you, that's when you stop waiting and start moving. You stop talking about change and start becoming it. You stop hoping someone will choose you and start choosing yourself. Brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day, the habits you build in silence, they're shaping the future you prayed for. The discipline you practice when no one's watching, that's the foundation. And yeah, it'll get hard. It'll get lonely. But don't confuse loneliness with failure. Sometimes isolation is the season where God builds you in private before he reveals you in public. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Keep building. The life you deserve doesn't come from begging. It comes from becoming. You've got to stop giving energy to what's beneath your future. Stop watering relationships that drain you. Stop rehearsing pain that no longer serves you. What you feed grows, and what you starve dies. If you want peace, feed it. If you want purpose, chase it. This isn't the time to compromise with mediocrity. It's the time to set your standards so high that only what honors your growth is allowed in. And yes, that means losing people. That means walking away from what's familiar. But you can't build the life you deserve while dragging the weight of everything you were meant to release. Don't let your history hold your future hostage. Don't let your past become your identity. You're not who they said you were. You're not the mistakes you made. You are a creator, a builder, a light. And you've got one job: to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every decision you make right now is either planting seeds or digging graves. Build wisely. Surround yourself with people who speak life. Structure your days around purpose, not pity. You are becoming, and becoming requires separation. Be okay with that. Because destiny isn't found in the crowd, it's built in the climb. Most people won't understand your silence, your grind, your boundaries. That's okay. You're not building a life for applause. You're building it for alignment. You've got to stop letting outside opinions shape your inside world. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Some folks are only meant to watch from the stands. And you've spent too long handing out invitations to people who only came to eat, not to contribute. This next level, it requires focus. It requires vision. It requires you to be so deeply rooted in your purpose that rejection doesn't shake you and loneliness doesn't stop you. You've got to work like the life you deserve is waiting on the other side of your discipline, because it is. You want joy, build it. You want freedom, earn it. Not through performance, but through alignment with your calling. That means being real with yourself. That means setting boundaries that protect your progress. That means turning down noise and turning up your standards. If they don't get it, let them go. Because you weren't called to be understood, you were called to be unstoppable. Keep building, keep becoming. Your future self is already thanking you. When you start building the life you deserve, things will fall apart before they fall into place. That's part of it. Don't panic. That discomfort, it's proof you're shedding the version of you that settled. The version that tolerated half love and called it loyalty. The version that kept saying, I'm okay, when you were silently drowning. That version is gone. And now you're creating something real, something whole. And the price of that, it's high. It costs comfort, it costs validation. It costs having to sit with your thoughts when no one else is around. But what you gain freedom. You gain clarity. You gain self-respect so strong, no apology can shake it, no ghost can haunt it, no rejection can rob it. Because when you know who you are and what you deserve, silence becomes your friend. Solitude becomes your sanctuary. And success, it's not about money. It's about peace. It's about waking up and knowing I'm living my truth. So keep showing up for yourself. Keep trusting the process, even when it doesn't make sense. Especially when it doesn't make sense. The foundation is forming, the structure is rising. You're not broken, you're building. The life you deserve won't always look flashy. It won't always be loud. Sometimes it's the quiet decisions that change everything. Waking up earlier, saying no more often, choosing your values over your urges. That's what building looks like. It's not always Instagram worthy. It's sweaty. It's messy. It's lonely. But it's worth it. Because every brick you lay today becomes the path you walk tomorrow. And every time you show up when it would have been easier to quit, you prove to yourself that you're not here to visit greatness. You're here to live it. This life you're creating, it doesn't require perfection, it requires consistency. Show up tired. Show up scared. Just show up. Let others waste time. Let others play small. You've got too much purpose inside of you to settle for almost. And even when it feels like nothing's changing, trust that something's growing. You can't always see the roots while they're forming, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Keep digging. Keep rising. Keep building. Because one day the life you're dreaming of right now will be your reality. And not because luck found you, but because you found you. The world will try to convince you to settle, to shrink, to quiet your fire so you don't offend someone else's fear. Don't fall for it. You weren't created to be average. You weren't built to blend in, you were designed to build up, to create, to expand. And if that means walking alone for a while, so be it. Because lonely roads lead to elevated places. And when you finally stand in the life you built with your own hands, your own tears, your own resilience, you'll know it wasn't luck. It was obedience. It was intention. It was refusing to let broken people convince you that you had to be broken too. This is your moment to stop surviving and start living. Not a life they approve of, a life that sets your soul on fire. One that mirrors the strength, the clarity, the vision that's always lived inside of you. So take the next step, lay the next brick, speak the next truth, and don't stop until what's in your head matches what's in your hands. That's how you build the life you deserve. One fearless, faithful, focused choice at a time. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you invite them back into your life to hurt you again. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's strength. It's choosing peace over poison. It's choosing freedom over emotional slavery. And yet, so many people confuse forgiveness with reconciliation. They think if they forgive, they have to pretend nothing happened, welcome the person back in, and act like the scars don't still ache in the silence. But let me tell you something. You can forgive someone and still keep the door closed. You can release the weight from your heart without reopening the wound. Forgiveness is for you. It's for your healing, your growth, your soul. It's not about making them feel better. It's about refusing to carry what they left behind. That bitterness, that resentment, it'll rot your joy from the inside out. It'll make you distrust love, sabotage peace, and punish the people who had nothing to do with your pain. So forgive, yes, but don't confuse that with returning. Don't think being kind means being naive. Forgiveness is saying, I'm no longer angry, but I'm also no longer available for anything that dishonors me. That's not cold. That's called self-respect. That's what survival turns into when it becomes wisdom. There's a certain kind of quiet power that comes when you forgive someone who never apologized. When you stop waiting for them to feel guilty. When you stop checking their life to see if karma did its job. That's when healing really starts. Because if you keep waiting for closure, you'll stay stuck in cycles that were never meant to define you. Some people are never going to acknowledge the damage they did. Some people will act like you were the problem, like your reaction to their disrespect was the real issue. That's why you have to forgive anyway. Not for them, but because you deserve to be free from the version of yourself that stayed tied to that pain. The version that kept repeating the past in your mind like a broken record. You're not a victim anymore, you're a survivor. And survivors don't beg for apologies. They build peace in spite of silence. You've got too much purpose on your life to let someone's inability to do right hold you back. Let them go. Let the memory fall away. Let your spirit breathe again. Forgive them quietly, but make it loud in your actions that they no longer have access to you. People will call you cold when you choose peace over drama. They'll say you changed. And they're right. You did. You changed when you realized your mental health matters more than explaining yourself to people who already decided to misunderstand you. You changed when you stopped fighting for love that didn't know how to love you back. You changed when you forgave, not because it was easy, but because you were tired of being angry. Anger takes energy. Bitterness takes space. But peace builds, it heals, it lifts. And you can't have peace if you keep returning to the same war zone hoping the bombs won't explode this time. Forgive them for being careless with your heart, for not showing up when you needed them, for making you question your own value. But understand, growth means keeping the lesson, not the relationship. They were part of your story, but they don't belong in your future. You don't have to explain your boundaries. You don't need their permission to walk away. Forgiveness means you cleaned your side of the street. That's all. You don't need to revisit the same street that taught you how to bleed. You're allowed to love people from a distance. You're allowed to pray for them and still block their access to your peace. Forgiveness doesn't mean you pretend the pain never happened. It means you no longer let it control your future. You still remember, but you're no longer held hostage by the memory. And that's powerful. That's transformation. Because real healing isn't forgetting. It's being able to remember without reliving. You can forgive your parents for what they didn't know. You can forgive that ex for not seeing your worth. You can forgive the friend who betrayed you, the family member who turned cold, the person who looked you in the eyes and lied. But forgiveness isn't about reconnecting, it's about releasing. And release isn't revenge, it's rest. Your soul is tired of carrying anger that doesn't change anything. Tired of replaying conversations that can't be undone? So stop trying to rewrite the past. Stop checking to see if they regret it. That's not your job anymore. Your job is to rise, to rebuild, to protect the peace that took everything in you to reclaim. So let them go. Quietly, lovingly, permanently. That's forgiveness too. Not everyone you love is meant to stay in your life. And that's one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes the ones we thought would be with us forever were only sent to teach us one hard lesson: how to let go with grace. And grace isn't soft, it's strong. It's saying, I release you, not because you deserve it, but because I do. Because carrying this pain day after day, year after year, is stealing time you'll never get back. You weren't created to stay angry. You weren't designed to keep dragging dead weight behind you. That heartbreak may have broken you for a while, but it didn't destroy you. You're still here, still rising. And the more you forgive, the lighter you become. Not naive, not forgetful, just free. Because the real revenge is not retaliation, it's resurrection. It's becoming so healed, so focused, so powerful in your silence that the same people who hurt you can't even recognize the version of you that walked away. That's not cold. That's wisdom. That's maturity. And if peace is the price of walking away without bitterness, then pay it. Forgiveness is the receipt. Don't return to where you were broken and expect to feel whole. There's a difference between healing and returning. Healing is for you, returning is for them. Don't confuse the two. Just because your heart softens doesn't mean your standards should. Just because you're forgiven doesn't mean you should lower your boundaries. What broke you doesn't get to rebuild you. That's your job, that's your journey. And it's okay to rebuild in silence, to heal in private, to protect your peace without explaining why certain people no longer have access to you. Not everyone gets to grow with you. And that's not betrayal, that's evolution. Forgiveness without return is saying, I value my peace more than your presence. And that doesn't make you bitter, that makes you balanced. You've cried enough, you've hurt enough. You spent enough nights overthinking what you should have walked away from the moment it disrespected you. But now you're moving different. Now you're protecting what you used to give away too freely. Your time, your energy, your heart. Let your healing be loud in your peace, not in your explanations. You owe no one a return trip to what you outgrew. You don't have to revisit places you've already been delivered from. That's what strength looks like. You forgive so you can be free, not so you can be close again. That's the difference between healing and habit. You're not who you were when they hurt you. You're stronger now. You see clearer now. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is forgive someone and never say a word to them again. No last conversation, no emotional goodbye, just silence, just distance, just growth. Because peace isn't found in closure, it's found in release. Not because of some longer break, it's found in release. When you realize you don't need them to understand or admit or regret, you've already done the work. You've already carried the weight. And you're choosing now to put it down, not because it's light, but because you're tired of carrying what doesn't belong to you anymore. And that's freedom. That's power. Forgiveness doesn't always feel good, but it feels right. And the moment you forgive without returning, without chasing, without hoping they've changed, is the moment you become untouchable. That's when you know you've healed, not when the past stops hurting, but when it stops calling you back. So move forward. Keep walking. Don't return to what you had to crawl out of. There's peace up ahead. Just keep going. Sometimes you've got to stop fighting so hard and just step back. You've got to stop begging for clarity, for closure, for answers you'll never understand right now. There comes a moment where your only job is to surrender, not because you're giving up, but because you finally learned that control is not power. Faith is. Trust is. You've done all you can. You've cried the tears. You've spoken your truth, and you've bent over backwards trying to keep something alive that was already gone. And now it's time to hand it over. to the universe, to God, to the higher force that has seen everything you endured in silence. Let the universe show you what happens when you stop chasing what's running and start embracing what's meant. Stop checking their page. Stop reading into silence. Stop hoping they see your worth when they already had the chance. Sometimes the best thing you can do is move emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and let the universe rearrange the pieces. Let it shake loose the things that were never built to last. Because once you stop interfering, once you let go with love instead of clinging with fear, you open space for something divine to walk in. The truth is, the universe works in whispers before it shakes. It gives you signs, little feelings in your gut, sleepless nights, that tight feeling in your chest when you're around certain people. That's not anxiety. It's a warning. That's your soul knowing before your mind accepts it. But what do? We ignore it. We override it with hope. We say maybe things will change. Maybe this time they'll choose us. Maybe if we just love harder, it'll work. But life doesn't reward desperation. It rewards alignment. And when you're not in alignment, everything feels heavy. That heaviness is trying to teach you something. You weren't created to chase. You weren't created to shrink yourself to be loved. You were created to stand, to shine, to trust that when something leaves your life, it's making room for something greater. So stop reopening the same chapter just because it felt familiar. Let the universe turn the page. You don't have to know what's next. You just have to know this. What's meant for you will never require you to lose yourself. Let that sink in. Let the universe do what your heart's been too tired to. There is a certain kind of magic that happens when you finally decide to stop forcing the outcome, when you stop trying to rush healing or chase closure or manipulate timelines, when you just say, I've done what I could and now I let go. That's when the universe takes over. That's when synchronicity steps in. When peace begins to settle in places that used to be stormy. Because what's aligned with your soul will never be toxic to your spirit. And what breaks you down constantly was never meant to build you up. Sometimes people leave because they're not part of your destiny, only your development. They came to teach, not to stay, and it hurts. Yes, it hurts like hell, but that hurt has purpose. That absence is space for presence. That loss is a redirection. And if you can just hang on, if you can hold your peace long enough to see what's next, you'll understand why that door closed. Stop standing in the ruins of what collapsed and calling it home. There's more. More love, more growth, more purpose. But you won't find it by going backwards. Let the universe rebuild what you didn't know you were worthy of. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Just breathe, just exist, just stop reacting and let it unfold. People think silence is weakness, that stepping back means you're broken. But it's the opposite. Silence is strength. It's saying, I don't need to explain myself anymore. I trust what's meant will find me. You're not desperate. You're not hopeless. You're just done with trying to force people to see your value. Let them go. Let them do whatever they feel they need to. You stay grounded. You stay aligned. Because the universe is not ignoring you, it's preparing you. It's delaying certain things because it knows you deserve better. And if you can just trust that, if you can just stay still long enough to receive what's meant for you, you'll realize the delays were protection. You'll see that being ignored was redirection, that the betrayal was a blessing. But you only see it after you stop interfering, after you let go of the illusion of control. So be still, not passive. Be quiet, not small. Let the universe move how it needs to. Because what's coming is always greater than what's gone if you're brave enough to make room. The hardest thing to do is trust something you cannot see. But faith was never built in certainty, it was built in silence. In the waiting. In the nights where you question your worth because of how someone treated you. But here's the truth. They were never in charge of your worth. Their presence doesn't add value to your life, and their absence doesn't take it away. The universe saw the tears you cried when no one was watching. It heard the prayers you whispered through clenched teeth. It knows how hard you fought to stay soft in a world that tried to harden you. And now it's working behind the scenes. Not punishing you, preparing you, elevating you, teaching you what you won't tolerate ever again. That's what this season is about. It's not about loss, it's about learning And if you can keep your heart open through the pain, if you can keep believing that better is ahead, even while you're walking through the valley, then you're unstoppable. Because the ones who don't quit, the ones who keep walking even when it's dark, they're the ones who find the light. And when you do, you'll look back and thank the universe for every closed door. The universe has a way of humbling you just enough to remind you that what's meant for you can never be taken from you. Not by lies, not by people, not even by your own mistakes. You don't have to beg for what's yours. You don't have to cling to what's leaving. Because when it's divine, when it's destined, it stays, it shows up. It doesn't confuse you, it brings peace, not chaos. And anything that brings more confusion than clarity, that's not your path. That's your test. Walk away from it, let the universe handle it. You're not missing out on anything by choosing peace over people. You're not weak for protecting your soul. That's not selfish, that's sacred. And when you create that space, when you stop chasing and start trusting, watch what happens. Watch who enters your life without games. Watch what blessings start aligning without struggle. Watch how much lighter your spirit feels. You were never meant to carry what broke you. You were meant to break free from it. And every time you let go with grace, the universe replaces that void with something real, something whole. But you have to trust the trade, let go. Watch. Receive. You've done enough. Now it's time to trust, to let go of trying to control how and when things happen. Let the universe surprise you. Let it reward your patience. Let it elevate you in ways that make it clear why the past had to fall apart. That love that didn't stay, it wasn't your failure. It was your redirection. That job that rejected you, it made space for a higher calling. That friend who turned into a stranger, it taught you how to love yourself deeper. Nothing was wasted, nothing. Even your heartbreak had holy purpose. But you only see it when you stop staring at what was and start preparing for what could be. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are being refined, strengthened, shaped into the person who can hold the blessing without dropping it. The person who no longer tolerates half love, broken promises, and temporary loyalty. So breathe. You are exactly where you need to be. Don't force it. Don't beg. Don't chase. Just align. And when you do, when you truly surrender and walk like it's already done, the universe responds. Watch what happens when you stop doubting and start expecting. That's when the shift begins. You've come a long way, and I hope you feel that in your soul right now, because everything we've talked about, it wasn't just theory, it wasn't just words. It was a reminder of who you are, of what you're capable of the strength buried underneath all that pain. You were never broken. You were becoming the version of you that no longer settles, no longer chases, no longer begs for love that comes with condition. You learned to shift the focus from them to you, and in doing that, you didn't just take your power back, you became the power. You learned that silence isn't punishment. It's a language, a boundary, a deep-rooted strength. And when you stopped explaining yourself to people who only heard what they wanted, you started hearing your own voice again. Clear, unshaken. You started building the life you deserve, not because someone handed it to you, but because you chose it. One choice at a time. One boundary at a time. One healed wound at a time. And through it all, you learned to forgive without returning. Not for them, but for you. Because carrying bitterness only weighs you down, and you've got places to go. You've got peace to protect. You've got joy that's waiting to fill your life in ways heartbreak never could. Forgiving them doesn't mean what they did was okay. It just means you're okay now. And you're not staying in that chapter any longer. And now you're letting the universe do its part. You've done enough. You've cried, you've prayed, you've hoped. And now you're releasing, letting go, not with bitterness, but with grace. Letting life unfold without needing to control every twist. That's not weakness. That's alignment. That's faith. You're not waiting anymore, you're walking. Walking toward peace, purpose, and people who don't make you question your worth. Walking with your head held high, knowing what's meant for you can't be stolen, delayed, or denied. So let the silence speak for you. Let the glow up happen in peace. Let your healing disturb the ones who tried to break you. And when the time is right, the universe will return everything you lost in a way you never imagined, better, fuller, real. Until then, protect your peace, honor your growth, stand firm in your becoming. You don't have to go back. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep going. Your life isn't behind you, it's in front of you. And every step you take away from what hurts you is a step toward what heals you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, for choosing your heart, your worth, your power. May peace find you in the quiet. May strength rise in your stillness. And may the next season of your life show you exactly why the last one had to end. God bless you. Stay strong. Keep going.